Okay. 17th meeting of the Human Services Commission, and we are so excited because we have our new commissioners with us today. So our call to order is going to be, we're going to go around the room and everybody's going to introduce themselves. Why don't we start with Jaime? I want everybody to share how long they've been in the city, been part of the commission, and when was the last time you laughed really hard?
Well, good evening. My name is Jaime Fajardo. I've been in the Human Services a few years. This is my second term. So I would say get more familiar with the program. We had more of the grants. Now kind of on the flip side. Laughter. I think I usually use humor as like even with conflicts. I would say I laugh a lot of things. So last time I laughed pretty hard. I think I laugh every day, to be honest with you. I think that's my everyday practice, to be honest with you. So,
yeah.
But welcome.
Rucker?
Oh, I was hoping to have more time to think about laughing.
How about just something that put a smile on your face if you can't think of something there?
Yeah, that's fair. My first name is Rucker, new to the commission, been in Issaquah for just under a year, relocated from Northern California.
Yeah.
And the plants growing so much are putting big smiles on my face. It's such a fabulous, productive time of the year.
My name is Humamo Hibula, and I've lived in Issaquah for 6 years now. My husband and I have run a business in downtown Issaquah for about 10 years. So we've been around here for a little while. Introduction and smile, straight to the smile. I laughed really hard today with my boss. She was teaching me how to knit. So we just took a break and she was teaching me how to knit and we were just having a great time. And I laughed today.
Yeah. Very good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Tina, it's your turn. Okay, we can't.
Hold on.
Mute here. Sorry. Hi, I'm Kina Sumakne. I've been in Issaquah for a few years now. I'm really excited to be here with you all and give back to the community. And laughing so hard this morning, my daughter was singing "Oh MacDonald" and I was telling her it's time to go to school. So that was pretty funny. Thank you all.
Welcome. Okay, Monica, your turn.
Hi everyone, I'm Monica Negrilla. I'm the Human Services Manager here at the city. It's so nice to welcome the commissioners tonight. And over the weekend when it was so hot, and I'm sorry, I've been with the city for almost 5 years, but I was just ready to jump to the smile. So over the weekend when it was so hot, I was trying to help the dog cool down. So we have this little kind of like little kiddie pool, and I was trying to throw the ball in the kiddie pool for him to just go in and pull off. And so he learned that, he can go and catch the ball and retrieve the ball, but he didn't think that he could just go in without the ball. So when I would not pay attention to him, he would just try to nudge the ball to get into the pool so he could give himself permission to go. That was really fun.
Hello, I'm Emmanuel Brown. I've lived in Issaquah for about 27 years now, and I don't know what term this is on my commission. I think second term, and makes me laugh is I played with the grandkids today in the pool, well, not having a water fight, so it was fun.
That's awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Bucali. I'm the mayor of the city of Issaquah. Before that, I sat in a chair like you and did the development commission for 20 years. So been in town for 30, was on council for 4 years, and now I'm halfway through my second term as mayor. I'm gonna kind of have to say what Jaime says. I think laughter heals. So I make it a personal mission when I'm meeting with people to find a way to get them to smile or laugh at these ones. And that usually gets me going, right? I just love it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Roberts. I am the Human Services Coordinator. I've been with the city for over 2 years now. Not new to Issaquah. I grew up here. My parents still live in Miramont, so lots of great ties to this community. Love to be on this end now of serving beautiful Issaquah. And so I have, if you don't know already, I think most of you do, I have 3 little children, 3 under 5. As you can imagine, I am laughing every day, maybe a few other things, but they are always making me laugh. We have like a little bouncer seat for my 7-month-old, and I was looking for my 2-year-old. I couldn't find her, and I just hear a giggle, and I go around the corner, and she's in this baby bouncy carrier, and my 4.5-year-old swinging her back and forth in the doorway. So yeah, they're very entertaining. Yeah, very happy house.
I'm sure, I'm
Yeah.
sure. My name is Trish Bloor. I've been in the community since the mid-80s. My kids went to school here. I have 2 adult daughters. I can't remember, when did I join the commission?
Before me.
2 or 3 terms, 3 terms.
Was it pre-COVID? Because I started just coming to your
I think you
meetings.
did it during COVID, actually. We did a mid-year
Okay.
recruitment
Okay.
in 2020.
And prior to that, I was on the Arts Commission for about 15 years. And then, okay, so I tend to go out to YouTube a lot at night before I go to bed. And just recently, I'm getting hit up with all these Sex and the City reruns. And I have just been laughing and laughing and laughing. So anyways, that's my little thing.
That's fun.
Okay, Preston.
So hi, I'm Preston Mealy. I'm the youth rep here, and I've been here for a lovely total of about 4 meetings. And I think I've been in Issaquah for 3-4 years now. And using the magical power of youthful vigor, I make sure to laugh every single day. But one example is watching my child appropriate shows. That,
You laugh at them.
yes.
It's pretty good.
So glad you're here, Preston. So glad.
Okay. Okay. Are we gonna move on to public comments now?
Yes.
Okay, and do we have any public comments?
Yes, so we have 2 members of the public here with 1 public comment. Victor, welcome to our Human Service Commission. So glad to have you here. You're welcome to stand, sit, stay,
Sure.
wherever you are
Thank
most
you.
comfortable.
Thank you. I'll sit right here then.
Yeah.
All right, allow me to read, some words I prepared. Ladies and gentlemen of the Human Services Commission, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. I sit here today to address a matter of great concern that has not escaped my attention as I traverse the breadth of our beautiful city. Concern, I believe, that must be acknowledged and addressed for the collective well-being and continued prosperity of our community. As I drive across Issaquah, I've had numerous encounters with individuals who have found themselves in situations where they must rely on the kindness of strangers for monetary support due to the distressing reality of homelessness. Each face tells a story, each plea echoes in the silence that often greets it. The sight of our fellow citizens enduring such hardship right on our doorstep is a stark reminder that despite the remarkable growth and prosperity that we've enjoyed as a city, there remain socioeconomic challenges that require urgent attention and compassionate action. We have indeed made strides in combating homelessness in our community, particularly through the commendable initiatives such as the emergency housing program. However, the visible increase in the number of people resorting to the roadside solicitation suggests that there's a need for further urgency and potentially an expansion of the approach for this crisis. I appeal to this commission to consider augmenting the effort behind the emergency housing program and to view that not merely as an appeal for more shelter, but as a call for a more holistic approach to alleviating homelessness. This includes not just housing, but also including support services aimed at empowering these individuals and families to regain their footing in society. We must strive to create an environment that fosters resilience, promotes self-sufficiency, and rebuilds lives by developing programs that not only provide immediate shelter, but also offer assistance in areas such as vocational training, mental health services, and substance abuse counseling, we could provide our fellow citizens with comprehensive networks of support that can guide them back to stability and independence. Our city, renowned for its spirit of community and compassion, has the strength and the will to ensure that all its residents have the opportunity to live with dignity and security. In carrying out this mission, let us affirm our commitment to leave no citizen behind, providing support and care to all, especially those who need it the most. Thank you for your attention to this pressing matter. It is my sincere hope that together we can rise to meet this challenge and fortify the fabric of our community, transforming Issaquah into a haven of hope, resilience, and inclusivity. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I know your name, Victor, but do you mind sharing your name with our commission, your first and last name?
Sure. My name is Victor Bello. I've been a resident of Issaquah for almost 6 years now.
Welcome.
And I live here with my wife and 2 children.
Well, thank you so much for your time and coming to our commission meeting.
Thank you for.
And recently appointed to the salary commission.
Oh, very important work.
It's very fun.
And if Victor wants to, he could forward his comments to the Human Services Commission, and then they'll get forwarded to us too.
Great.
Like
I'll be
that.
happy to do that.
That'd be
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, any more?
Let me just. No other public comments at this time. We're good to move on.
Okay. All right. Hey, I know the minutes from April are very fresh in everybody's mind. And we need to approve them. So, Jaime and Manny, I leave it up to you to make a motion.
Motion, do I second?
Is there a motion?
If you
I
want.
move that we accept the
Minutes?
minutes as published.
And did you second?
I second that.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, if there's, I think we'll move that they're passed if there's no
Objection.
vote against that. I never quite know how to do this right.
No, you said it right.
Okay, okay,
If there was no objection.
if there's no objection, thank you.
Well done.
Okay, and now we'll start with our agenda items. And I think Mayor Paula is up with Tisha.
Great, thanks. Well, hello, everyone. At least once a year, I do try and get to a Board of Commission meeting for all of our 16 boards and commissions, just because I need to say thank you for everything that you do. Issaquah has a lot of community representation through these 16 boards and commissions, and maybe by population, a little more representation, which is good. It means we have a lot of voices at the table, and I love that. Tonight, I'm dressed a little casual because I'm going to head down to the soccer game. But what I wanted to point out for anybody that's here or watching is that for the 20 years that I served on Development Commission, I know you are not with your family tonight. I know you are not attending an event. I know you are not doing something you would be doing if you didn't have a meeting. So I appreciate your sacrifice. I really commend you for putting this much effort and enthusiasm into your community. So during COVID, we went to an all remote meeting format for quite a while. And during that time, I stood up 2 new commissions, entirely new commissions, Equity Board and Environmental Board. And they began meeting in the all remote format. And I remember going to meetings with other mayors where everybody said, cannot wait for this to be over because nobody wants to do remote. Thinking, well, don't they? Like, I don't know that we're going back exactly the way we left it, because there are many, many benefits from having a remote option. So we came out of the emergency. We were able to start to meet in hybrid format, all boards and commissions, council included. Many of you have chosen to have a significant number of you present during your meetings, meaning you're living close enough, we're able to walk here, and that it's fine to come to the meeting. The 2 boards that grew up in the hybrid world have not had your experience of the in-person world. And so to a degree, they're not sure what they're missing or what the difference would be. I tasked Tisha a while ago as we were coming out and we were going to start to come into this new era of where do we want to go next with reaching out to all the boards and commissions and reaching out to the council and saying, so we're not going to do what we used to do, and we're not going to be all remote. We're going to have some form of hybrid, which I totally support. I think it's wonderful. But how do we do two things? Take all the pluses of having the hybrid format, which really have a lot to do with the public and the members. You can get more people to attend if you could take some barriers out of the way. And some nights just being here in person, you couldn't do it. But you could have your kids at home and be able to attend and give your full attention. So that is great. It also helped with the public. We haven't seen a huge uptick in people who wanted to participate since we've had remote or hybrid. Some of our usual faces are coming back into the council chamber. They've been coming in for years, if not decades, and they're happy to be back. The second piece that I explained to the city clerk that's important to me is, by law, we are required to set up a physical place. And I want that place with a hybrid component to be very friendly and welcoming to the community. So when we first started going hybrid with council, there was a big fear that the mayor and the staff would be sitting in the meeting room with the city clerk and all the council members would be hybrid. But our council members have experienced all different forums, and for them, it's the conversation before you come in. It's the conversation when you go out into the parking lot. It's, meeting Victor outside and talking about other stuff before you come in. So if you've done this before, you recognize that there's some added benefit in having people in the room. I also, from a public point of view, want to make sure that it's not hard for the public to figure out that we have such a mix of choices between boards and commissions and council that they don't have that same experience with you. So I've been working with our city clerk to go back, present a set of options, and have as much consistency as we can have for those who choose to join you at certain points in your conversations. We have some boards and commissions that get a lot of people that come in. We have others that do not. And so it's a complete mixed bag. But as mayor, I told my clerk, I want both. So I want to make sure, and I'm the one who recommended to the city council, I believe you should have a quorum in the room. I believe if you have a chair and a vice chair, if the chair is not in the room, the vice chair in the room is a good choice. She has suggested all of those, and you're going to be looking at those tonight. It's an agenda item for you. I wanted to come before you had your conversation and just tell you why my head is where my head is at, and then just allow for questions if you have some. But it's equity and access has improved, and I want to just make sure that we still really are able to give the community the benefits of sidewalk conversations, the after the meeting conversations, and even you just getting to meet a potential person who's going to come in and talk to you tonight, maybe talk about something else. So anyway, that is why it's on the agenda tonight, and just leave it open for questions if anybody has any questions. Or not, no questions is fine too. Sounders aren't starting for another 45 minutes. I have time to get down there.
I might have one after.
What's that mean?
I might have one question after her. Haven't been taken today, right?
Sorry?
Is she having a presentation today?
Oh, yeah. This was just about mayor coming in and telling you why city clerk has been presenting what she's presenting. You will get a lot of information from Tisha. I won't be here for that piece, but definitely questions as much as you like. Nothing is set in stone. We're trying to make this work for all of our varied boards and commissions. And we're also trying to make it work for any of the public who might come in to get, we always have to have a physical location. I want it to be welcoming. I want them to feel like they have access. You are not elected, but you are community representatives with very big voices at this table. And so just want to make sure everybody can talk to you when they want to.
So the Equity and Environmental Board have not met in person.
They do. So they did move back in person, just as everybody else did. And they have a quorum or more in the room with them. So everybody's moved back. The interesting piece was starting to talk about coming back when they'd never been back, because they didn't know what they didn't know.
Yeah.
They hadn't had a parking lot conversation. These were brand new commissions that had just got stood up. And so for them, we got this. We do this on video all the time. And it's like, well, there's another aspect to it I really want you to try out. And Tisha has taken this project on and been answering questions and just trying to create the most open and accessible format we can and the best environment for those that decide to come and share the space with you. Yeah, everybody's back.
So before the mayor leaves, does anybody want to make a comment, like particularly our new people that, you know, you don't really know anything at this point.
Don't know what you don't know yet.
It's your first meeting. I mean, do you guys have an opinion about in-person versus virtual or hybrid or?
I'm just curious about how we will organize a quorum to be physically present, as opposed to 3 of us or 4 of us deciding, I'm gonna be virtual today, or I'm gonna be in person today.
That's a
So
good
it seems
question.
like it would have to be organized ahead of time.
It's a little bit more. So there are several organizations that are outside of the city that I belong to. And so we have an RSVP and an expectation that if you're going to be digital, you just let them know you're going to be digital. There will be times and reasons why we may not make a quorum in the room. That's okay. It's just that the intent is to create a fabulous space here. So, for example, I sit on Sound Cities Association board and we have too many board members. So in order to get a quorum, we need to have a lot of people, and it's in Tequila and we come from all across King County. And so part of our SVP is, and I will be digital, just so people know, and Tisha or the staff that are managing it will do our best, but it's not hard and fast. Things happen. I mean, we may have a snowstorm and have to do a virtual meeting because everybody's like, yeah, I'm home, I'm safe, and I can do it. But what we really want to do is create something that I can go out to the community and say, you got to come to this meeting, you know, come a little early, try and talk to people. Just some expectation of what we strive to do. Does that make sense, Monica?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
So if there's not a quorum in the room, we can still go through.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Well, we are not trying to put up roadblocks. We are just trying to set expectations. We are trying to tear down roadblocks.
And I agree with
Very
you. I agree with you with face-to-face. There's nothing that can replace that personnel.
Yeah.
It's so funny though that people thought everybody wanted to come back because all across the spectrum of meetings I go to, it's a very wide range of opinions. Very wide range.
Yeah, this is Jaime from Human Services. I'm interested too, Mayor, is that the fact that we're doing kind of like a hybrid is, you talked about 16 boards and commission. Are we taking data of like the demographics and age and of like the before and after, given the fact that we're going into this kind of hybrid model of, is it increase in access or is it decrease in access given the representation of city?
Great question. I'm not sure we have a metric for that yet. I think some of that information is available, although I would have to go back and look at the applications to see, do we ask people their age on the applications? Like we ask certain things, but do we ask things? Might be a good to-do list for the equity board to think about how we measure if our changes in meeting format and structure have actually created a more diverse group. There's something else that I did that I should confess to that has helped make us a little bit more diverse as well. You know, people get very excited about serving in these seats. And so when I served in one seat for 20 years, which meant that a lot of other people didn't.
Yeah.
And so when I moved into council and then into mayor's office, and I had started serving when the town was 8,000, same number of seats, now it's 41,000. There are people who don't get opportunities. So I started an initiative 2 years ago where we are gently moving people through and rotating. And so that also will have the effect of changing who's at the table. When I came, everybody on every board and commission lived on Squawk Mountain or Old Town. That was it, everybody. And for a long time, almost all of our council members came from Squawk Mountain and Old Town. More people have moved in different neighborhoods and we have a great natural geographic dispersion of council members too, which is great. So, much to my unpopularity, I was talking with Victor about this earlier, I have moved people from alternate seats and, you know, if the staff team and the board chair decide people should be moving through, when they get to a certain point, 2 terms, 8 years, I'm asking them to move to an alternate seat, kind of be a legacy member, a little bit institutional knowledge, but out of a voting seat, so we can bring in new people. So I will tell you just from my experience being pretty familiar with boards and commissions for 30 years, it's very different. And I'm not sure that just looking at the remote aspect, if I can single that out, or it's in combination with me moving people through. So it could be both.
Yeah, and I think that's a great question, I mean, because our geographic's changing,
Mhm.
and we're trying to get the younger folks
Mhm.
engaged. And
Yeah, you and we're almost done, right? Like,
I'm-
this is it. You get us for a couple more years and that. We are. This is another thing we created when I started as mayor, is we wanted to have youth seats and not just a youth advisory board. We wanted to have youth seats everywhere. Like, why not take the voices of those who are starting to get interested and excited and let them participate in a meeting like this where your topics are huge and wide ranging. So we have our youth advisory board and we have this, which is pretty amazing. So, but anyway, we can think about it a little bit more, Monica. I mean, we are working on the advice of our equity board to really tackle more things than we have been tackling in the diversity, equity, inclusion area. And we just finished up a management retreat with all the directors and their direct reports, talking about how each department would come with some project, policy, or proposal to the equity board and explain how they use the equity framework to find out if they thought they had done a good job in evaluating, is everybody at the table, or the right people at the table? Who did we miss? Who could this hurt? Who could this help? And that's a big step. That's pretty exciting. So more to think about. Great question. Anything else?
I really appreciate the city's flexibility, the fact that you guys aren't being rigid. I mean,
We don't want to get in your way. You guys do great work.
Right.
We do not want to get in your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the past, they have been pretty black and white rules, and they have had some unintended consequences. Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So.
And I would also think Trish, that I know when she first came in, I'm sorry.
Who's that?
Yeah, because when we first came in, I think you gave the preparation that you did, and I think the feedback was surprising, and I know you have to go back and redo all of that, so.
Oh, Tisha is amazing.
Tisha.
We have such an amazing city staff. They are authentic when they come and tell you, here's a proposal, please praise it or shred it. They mean it. They will listen to what you say, and then they will come in my office and go, Mayor, this is what we heard. And I go, good, we have more work to do. This is awesome.
Yeah.
They're very receptive to what you say. They are
She
listening.
was very receptive. Thank you.
She is a star. A humble star. Awesome. Well, great. Thank you for letting me do this. I'm going to go stand at the bus stop. And also thank you for being here instead of someplace you might rather be tonight. The community appreciates it, and I appreciate it very much. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. You're not new, are you new? Relatively new. Welcome. New.
I've been here like 10 minutes.
Yes.
Oh, this is the first?
Yeah.
Special welcome. Kim and I have met on a couple other issues in town already, so
Nice.
I couldn't remember if she was on this or not. This is great. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Monica.
So good seeing you, Mayor. Thank you.
Have a great night. Nice to meet you.
You too. Bye.
Oh, I'm good. I'm in the meeting. Hi, everybody. I'm Tisha Geezer. I'm the city clerk. I know a few of you very well and a few new faces, so welcome. Thank you for volunteering. The commission. Hi, Trish. Every time anyone says your name, my ear catches.
I know. Yeah, me too. That just happened.
Okay, and then we have Keena with us virtually. Okay, well, I'm, as the mayor said, I'm the city clerk, and as she also said, when we, just a little background for those of you who are new, when we, as the mayor explained, as we came back from the COVID pandemic, we were operating all of these meetings entirely virtually, which the governor was allowing us to do temporarily. And when we came back in person, initially the direction from the mayor was board and commission members need to be in the meeting rooms, no exceptions. And the public can continue to participate virtually. But we heard some feedback that board and commission members appreciated some flexibility. And because we already have the equipment and the stuff set up for virtual participation, like the mayor said, she gave me some direction, and I brought this policy around to all the boards and commissions. So the reason, part of why the mayor wanted to come tonight was to kind of reiterate some of her some of her reasons for wanting to ensure that there is a real presence in the room for these board and commission meetings. And as you mentioned, Manny, when I came to the Human Services Commission back in January, there was definitely, the majority opinion was to definitely minimize an in-person requirement. And value that she sees in that. And I then want to, I can quickly go over the policy again. And then I'd like to get your input and see if we can't come up with a little bit of some compromise language for the Human Services Commission's rules. And I also have the benefit of having gone to a few different commissions since I saw you last. So I can share some options as well. So just as a reminder, and what is in your packet tonight is kind of the first iteration of this policy, which does say that a quorum, which for the Human Services Commission is 4 people, would be in the meeting room. And as the mayor mentioned, we're open to being flexible there, and some of the other commission, the majority of them are requiring that, but a few of them have softened that and say, we'll strive for that, but we won't require it. So that's something that we could change. And then we have one commission, our equity board, who's just keeping it totally open. So the policy says that, so that does require a little bit of tracking by staff, and that does require communicating in advance if you want to attend virtually. And as written, it does say that that you sort of need to be granted permission to attend virtually. But you will be considered fully present and can participate fully. The other provision it has now is saying that the chair needs to be in person, as you heard the mayor explain some rationale for that. And then otherwise, it really just talks about making sure you have an audio connection, noting it in the minutes, just some kind of routine aspects. And then the policy just indicates, it formalizes that the public can participate virtually and that staff presenters may participate virtually as well. And then we added some more language to the public participation section because the commission was sort of lacking that in its current rules. So so that's sort of the basis. You have a copy in your packet. So I would like, and as Manny said, I do have a round of input from when I was here in January. And I guess I'm with some new members and with the mayor coming, I guess I'm interested to know if there might be any changes in that perspective. So a quick comment on what some of the other boards have done. So the equity board has definitely gone the furthest from the proposed policy and is saying, just show up somehow. And either way, and you're okay. And they actually removed their requirement that their chair attend in person. Most of our other boards have been a little bit closer to this proposal, but some of them are saying things like, we'll strive to have a quorum in person. One of the boards said, we'll strive to have a quorum in person, but we expect all members to attend half of the meetings each year in person. So kind of set a dual expectation. So those are some of the changes that have been made. I did incorporate a few changes, just removing the notice, the 5-day notice, because this commission has a hybrid component at each meeting, so we don't need that much notice. We have it all set up. So if you get ill or suddenly quarantined, just some advance notice will be important. But I guess I would like to hear some feedback from you on if this seems workable or what changes you would like to make.
I think the equity board's approach is most equitable. Flexibility is the most inclusive. But that being said, there's something to what the mayor's saying about the vibe in a room. That's basically what she's talking about. You don't want folks who don't have access online to show up in person and then their crickets chirping in a room, because that could change their willingness to even be involved or speak to what an owl. So there's something about the vibe in the room. But the most flexible is always the most inclusive.
You want to say something?
Well, I think I agree most with the, like, the expectation to reach quorum since, like, especially during, like, winter months and such, it's gonna end up. And, well, mostly, yeah, like, during winter months, like the mayor said, during, like, snowstorms and such, it can be like, hey, we don't have, it's not gonna be possible for most people to get to the actual building, so we can still have the meeting that will be mostly online. But I also agree with the, there should be like some sort of requirement, like 50, 75, 25, some percent that commissioners have to be required to meet in person, because like the mayor and you said about, like the vibe and having not two people sitting here lonely in the room by themselves. So I think there should be some sort of like requirement of some amount for a need to meet in person, but also like not a requirement for quorum or such.
So are you doing the regulations specifically for each commission?
We are, Trish, and you know, as the mayor mentioned, a goal here was to, because we have currently 13 advisory boards, a goal is to keep everyone consistent, but I'll say there's just not consistency here because every board has different considerations. The environmental board was worried about people driving. They don't want people to have to drive into every meeting, right?
Yeah.
And the equity board really wanted to really drive the edge there on inclusivity. And then a few of the commissions have been, well, and other commissions just have different styles too. It just like
Right.
people do. Some people are just prefer to drive down and sit in a chair and have that, you know, different connection, or have the flexibility in their life where they can do that. So it has, a goal was to be consistent, but there's definitely, every policy is a little bit different. But as I mentioned, most of them are fairly close to this version. The equity board's the one that's kind of gone the furthest from it, but so they are all different.
And I will make a comment, and Preston, I apologize because I'm not going to agree with you. For somebody to have to keep track of, okay, Trish has only shown up let's say I'm not the chair. Trish has only shown up in person, 3 times, and you know, she needs to show up 4 more times I don't, that's administration that I don't want anybody to have to do. I don't want anybody to have to keep track of who's showing up in person. I mean, I know we keep track of who's at the meeting, whether they be virtual or in person, but I don't want anybody to have to. Anybody have an opinion on that?
I agree about the administration, the
Yeah.
administrative aspect.
Yeah.
And I also agree, only because, what's the consequences? Right, so we have to come up with what the consequences are. If they don't show up, we only get 4 times instead of 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's
There's
just
a lot
unnecessary,
going
yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
And I also like to move towards what the equity part is doing, where it gives you more freedom, no matter where you are in your life, as far as, okay, I thought I'd be able to make it today, but kids are sick, and so I gotta stay here, and they're in the other bedroom, I can at least, be here. So, and, somebody might have to take the bus to get here, well, but they have a computer. So there's a lot of things to take into account, I think. And I think helping set up the equity board, that many of the commissions, it should be moving towards what they
That part.
want to do equity-wise, right? So if they're saying, we're gonna do this, then that should almost transfer down to all the other commissions that says that, well, if the equity people think that it's fair for everybody to do it this way, then maybe we should have one way to do it, and this is the way it's gonna be.
And same with the environmental board. I mean, if they're not wanting cars driving to these meetings, then how is that okay for any commission? It makes no sense for only, it's supposed to be strength in numbers, rising tide lifting all of the boats.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
And I think it'd be also easier to regulate It says that, because if one person moves from one commission to the next, I think it'd be easier to regulate. It says, okay, the commissions agree that this is the way we're gonna run this, and it's shit down. I'm really focusing on with the equity board. I mean, that was a big deal, getting that started, and the power of the people that were given the equity board, and not to listen to them would be disrespectful.
Good point.
I am definitely pro-hybrid, pro-flexibility, and also at this point in this pandemic, highly motivated to show up in person. But I have seen that hybrid meetings really put the onus on the moderator or the facilitator to engage people like Hina, who's, politely on mute, but may actually have something to say. So the more, and it's particularly important when there's a disproportionate amount of people in person, because we're keeping the ball moving conversation wise. But I am sure, Kina, that already you've had a couple of insights or comments or questions. So I would just invite that it becomes even more important for skillful and perhaps deliberate pauses to ask if anyone on the screen has something to contribute for the sake of equity in voices. Yeah.
Okay, Kina, you're up.
Well, I can tell you that I'm neutral on this policy, but I do lean more so towards equity because just earlier this week I had to ring Hannah and say, I have an inflammation in my ankle and I will not be able to make it. So I now have access because I'm online. So I think that equity is important.
So it sounds like we're really leaning towards doing what the equity board is doing. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what you're hearing, Tish?
Yes, I have two thoughts, or I guess I'd like to get feedback on two things. I'm hearing the same thing, and the equity board would like to see their policy shared. I think, as you heard from the mayor, one of the things on the top of her mind, and it's so different how we come to this with different perspectives, is she's really concerned about access, the public's access to your meetings and to you. And so that's what she's thinking. And we have only been doing hybrid meetings for a year, close to a year now. It's about 50-50 hybrid in person from what I'm seeing at the city council meetings that I attend regularly. But I will say often new people do attend in person. I don't have data on that, but I think that's one of her perspectives. I think as she shared, she's concerned about their experience being one or two people in here, which is not proving to be the case as she and I go from meeting to meeting. There tends to be, people are kind of self-regulating. So my two thoughts are, I hear you don't want a requirement on how many people are in person. Could we still say that it's encouraged? Would that be, are you comfortable with language encouraging in-person attendance?
Is that language? No? Is that language in the equity boards?
It's not. It's in pretty much every other board's encouraging or requiring. They are not. So I'm asking the question, and the answer can be no. I'm just posing it, because it sends a message. It does send a message.
What do you guys, we can vote on it, or do people want to comment?
Yes, I think the word encouragement kind of puts pressure on attendees. I think it puts pressure there. And if we are practicing equity, we need to choose words that does not make one feel like they're being pressured to take an action that, one, they may be incapable of taking, or two, it's not a personal choice.
I agree. I agree. It's a language, language like that still comes from somewhere. And when it's praised as a policy, then you feel pressure by the powers that be, whoever wrote it or whatever, maybe the mayor, I don't know. And so you definitely feel pressured by that power and wherever that language is coming from.
Yeah. This is Manuel Brown again. I also think that again, equity board is looking at things through equitable lens, right? Which again should cascade down to others. And putting that phrase in itself, as Keena says, puts pressure on. Also, I think that it's a known fact that mostly the commissions are run by older folks. And we are used to things a certain way. If we want to get the younger people involved to step up, then we have to give them an opportunity to not feel like they're not wanted or accepted.
Mhm. And I do remember when you visited last January, I think I said, okay, can we try this for 3 months, and then after 3 months revisit? And then that made it easier for us to say, okay, Tisha, this is our decision, because we can change it. Yeah,
I do have one more question.
okay.
Before I move on to the next item is, so I message received, on that one, the chair. So that was one, that was another one. The equity board removed the requirement the chair be in person. I will say, to your very good point, and I have observed it as well, I do feel like the hybrid meeting does put a little extra pressure on the chair, or they can refer to their excellent staff for some support there. But my opinion from attending lots of meetings is I do think it's helpful to have the chair in person for some practical purposes. It also, so we have to have a physical meeting space. We have to have a staff person here. It sort of ensures there's two people. It doesn't have to be the actual chair. It can be the vice chair or another member who gets an opportunity to try chairing a meeting for a night. So it doesn't necessarily put the onus on that role for every meeting. But so I guess I'm asking that question too. Do you have a preference, and it would go into the rules? So do you have a preference that the chair be in person or not?
Or their proxy, chair or their proxy. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so what are people's comments?
I believe we should follow the lead of the equity board, and that equity work needs to be infused across the board.
Jaime, haven't heard from you.
Oh, wow. This is Simon. I really have strong feelings around like the attachment and belonging kind of piece to it, is that I see both ways in terms of flexibility of life. And I also take part of like the participation of folks coming in to display their civic skills. Everyone's doing this out of their own volunteer time, so that in order to put expectations on it, it's kind of hard to digest when we're all kind of volunteering our time to improve our communities in a say. So I think that has a huge value in what we do. I don't know if I'd want to put an expectation on it, because we're all showing up for our own best hearts, for our own community. I honestly, I'd probably move with the equity side and just saying, hey, and just monitor for the next 2-3 years and see where it goes. We've been doing this other side for the last, 56, hundreds of years. I think it's good to be innovative in how we look at stuff like this.
And I think that's where equity board steps in, is that innovation and looking at it from different lenses. And like you say, we're all here as volunteers, and we want to participate. So we've got to trust those that want to participate to say, I could make it to that meeting personally, not because I just don't want to go, but because I'm here and this is what I want to do, and that's why I'm here, that I will make it to that meeting personally. I think we've got to trust the people that we vote or is assigned to.
Well, I think it speaks to even I'm sorry, man, it speaks to like the 2 terms. I think you're moving towards that of just how do we increase more access, participation for other folks to kind of have a voice in our systems. I think it falls in line with that.
And I have to say also that I think the human services is closest to the equity board as far as viewpoints than a lot of the other commissions.
We created the equity board.
Yeah. We did.
And I don't know if you guys knew that. We have the subcommittee that, yeah, helped put it together. Yeah. Okay, well, do you have what you need?
I have what I need. Yeah, and I should add, just for the other, you know, think about this differently in the future. The equity board was not the first board we went to. And so I think the other boards didn't have the benefit of me being able to share with them that someone was doing it differently. So, you know, and that was some feedback from the equity board, which is just what you said, Manny, which is next time come to us first so we can model. So we're learning about hybrid meetings. We're learning about equity. I got the message, which was very consistent with the message in January. So I will be showing up at one of your future meetings when you have maybe 5 minutes so that you can make, I'll bring back a revised version of the rules and a vote will be needed to enshrine them. Well, a quorum will be needed somehow between your virtual and in person. And lastly, before moving on to the next item, if I can add, there was some mention of, are we gathering any metrics on our board and commission applicants? And we are. It is optional. Monica, you know a little bit about this too, but we are gathering some information, which you are probably aware of since some of you recently applied. So we don't have it published anywhere, but we are looking at it because we do have a goal of increasing the diversity of our volunteer board and commission members.
So question is the equity board looking at?
I don't think.
Yeah, and that's not officially at this point, it's not on their work plan. What also we started doing is tracking, since the equity board implemented their new policy. We also started tracking attendance and seeing if that the change in policy, if that impacts attendance in any way. And so it's interesting to say, like you also said, Jaime, and all of you, is people make the effort and we always have people online and but to answer your question, the equity board has not been looking at, I don't know that we have enough data to show over the years the change in diversity or the change in demographics, age and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm concerned that the equity board would, again, look at it from a different lens. So past attendance would give you a point, but won't show you what direction you need to go.
But no, those are great suggestions for us at the city to look at those.
But I think you can match, again, Jaime, you can match the demographics of the city, like where it's going, and then the demographics of the commission boards of the folks, you know, because you want to continue to mirror the community. So I think it goes back to the strategic plan that we have set in place. You can be a good way to go back to your community and saying, here's something that we're really working on to ensure that all voices are at the table.
When you take, for example, like the Transportation Commission, you know, equity board will take a look and says, okay, who's using it? And who needs to be on the board that's using it?
Yeah.
Other than someone who's overlooking and saying that person needs to use it. So it's a whole different outlook.
Okay, so basically we're gonna have the equity board's policy. Okay, so that's one less unique.
Yes.
I mean, you can just, you know, copy their thing and put human services on top. Yeah.
Control.
Okay.
Control C, Control V.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Okay.
Like, so are we gonna move on to the OPMA now?
Yes, we are.
That was a good discussion. Thank you, everybody.
It's a great discussion. Yeah, we're so thankful for your boards. And we're, you know, one of the things I was thinking, Manny, as you were talking, which is something I've been, and sorry, this is off topic, but I just feel like I want to share it. I've been working here about going on 7 years. One of the things I'm seeing happen more and more with the city, we're taking more and more of our policies to our advisory boards. And that's infusing some diverse perspectives into our policies. And I was just reflecting on that the other day, how I've seen such a big increase in that over the last few years. And it's really,
Very nice, yeah.
it is nice, but it's also lots of volunteer hours, reading things, thinking. So, all right, so this next item, a few of you Trish and Manny, and Preston, I don't know if you were here last year. You've heard this spiel before. This is an annual training that we provide. So geared towards our new members, but we like to just run through it with the whole commission. So I'm going to just share my screen here, and this should be pretty short.
Jaime, you've been through this as well.
Oh, hi, is Jaime returning? Okay. Do you have a third new commissioner?
Yes.
Kina is the third. Okay, perfect. Thank you for getting me oriented, Monica. Okay, so it's new to Kina too. Okay, great. So let me just share my screen here. Okay. All right, so this training is about open government. It's about a couple of state laws that we refer to as the sunshine laws that are about shining light on the government and government processes in our state. And so I'm going to talk to you about some of the requirements in the sunshine laws. Oh, it's not advancing on the screen. I know. How do I fix that? I don't know.
I guess.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, it's showing here.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's delayed up there because you're seeing.
I'm moving it now.
Oh, you're moving it? Oh.
I still to present it.
Maybe try, do you mind trying that? Oh, and that's the wrong PowerPoint. Oh, that's what okay, that's what it is. It's the wrong PowerPoint. Sorry, guys. I'm like, why isn't it moving? Because I have 2 Human Services Commission presentations and I picked the wrong one. Sorry about that. Okay, so sorry, Hannah.
Oh, all good. Let me know. I have.
Okay, so I'm
I have
gonna
the PDF.
stop sharing. I have it open right here. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, yeah, I think I just made. Yeah, I think. Let me just try this. This should work. Okay. There we go. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about open public meetings and we're going to talk about records. And the reason we do this training for our new members, this training is required under Washington state law every 4 years that for new members to the city's advisory boards. And we also like you to know about this just to decrease our risk, help everyone act above board and reduce violations of either of these laws. So the Open Public Meetings Act is about making sure, because you're making decisions about a government agency, a city, it's making sure that the residents of that city or anyone who wants to is present to hear your thought process, your discussion, and certainly your action. And so in the physical meeting room, we have an unlocked door. In the virtual space, we publish the password. We make sure the link and call-in number are open so no one has any barriers to joining. We also, this slide doesn't say, but we also publish advance notice of your meetings. So they're on our website. All of your agenda materials are posted on our website so people know in advance what's being discussed so that they can choose to come and either listen, observe, or participate. Your meetings are also recorded and posted to YouTube. So there's lots of ways for people to watch your meetings. There's your regular meetings, which are the ones that are held every month. And then occasionally you're gonna have special meetings. You might meet jointly with another commission. You might need to reschedule the date because there aren't a quorum of you available. And anytime you meet at a different time, it's called a special meeting. And the thing to note about that is for special meetings, where anything you discuss or take action on is required to be on the agenda. So it's not a good night to like bring up something that's been on your mind to see how the commission feels about it. So that's just a little restriction we have. I think the idea there is people know your regular time, so they can just kind of plan on it. But if you're meeting at a special time, maybe they're not aware. So as I mentioned, for all of your meetings, we're gonna provide advance notice. You are getting your materials typically the Friday before. I that seems like it's been consistent the Friday before the meeting. Public comment isn't a required component of your meetings, but it's certainly a good idea, and it's a standing item on your agenda. There is a little carve out in this Open Public Meetings Act for certain really sensitive topics, usually around legal issues or, collective bargaining, employment issues. It's very unlikely one of those kind of closed sessions would need to occur at your commission. But just so you're aware, our city council goes into those sessions periodically. There's a lot of rules that have to be followed for those as well. All right, so something to think about here is that so you're on a 7-member commission, which means a quorum of you, which the quorum is how many of you are needed to constitute a meeting, is 4. And it's something to think about, because if 4 of you happen to be at a community event that deals with issues that pertain to the Human Services Commission, we don't want you clustering together, because it could be construed, especially if you start talking about, oh yeah, that last meeting, what did you think? What did you really think about? That would be potentially a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. So if 4 of you are at the same event, that's fine, but don't cluster together. And we really prefer to avoid that. So if there's something coming up that's of a high interest to the commission, a great idea is to sort of say who's going, maybe keep it to 2 or 3 and have them report back at the next commission meeting. Something else to think about, and this was new to me when I started working for the city, but the Open Public Meetings Act also doesn't allow for what can be called a serial meeting. And that's if, after a meeting, you call up one of your commission members and are like, oh, this is on our next agenda. I have a lot of thoughts about it. This is what they are. And then that commissioner reaches out to a second or third commissioner, or bumps into them or emails them or whatever, and shares that first person's perspective and their perspective. And eventually you have at least 1 or 2 people with knowledge of 4 commissioners' perspectives on an item. Again, the idea is that processing should happen at an open meeting where the public could be. And so avoid that. If you have 1 or 2 people on the commission that you like to kind of debrief with or check in with, that's fine, but don't then share that conversation with another commissioner. And this really can happen inadvertently by email. So we were preferring you not share opinions about commission topics by email. Don't limit your reply all. If it's about scheduling, that's fine, but don't do a reply all to the commission to relay perspectives. If you have information you want to share with the commissioners, we really encourage you send it to Hannah or Monica so they can disperse the information. So that's just something to be aware of. And there are some penalties for violating this. I mean, this would mostly come into play, with a meeting where maybe some action was taken, which we as staff will be working hard to make sure your meetings are always meeting these requirements, but want you to be aware about the potential situations that could occur outside of a meeting so you can avoid those. Any questions on any of that? All right. So for the new commissioners, when you were welcomed, I believe Tina Eggers, who works in the mayor's office, sent you a welcome email. There was a link to a code of ethics and an acknowledgement. So if you haven't done that yet, I encourage you to just take a few minutes to read through. It covers a few of the things I'm talking about and a few other policies. So it's issaquah.gov/ethics. And then with that, I'm going to talk for just a few minutes about the Public Records Act. So the Public Records Act is similar, except it basically says that the city the city's records are the people's records. And so anyone, anywhere in the world can fill out a little form on our website and request any kind of record. It's really kind of amazing. So they can say that they want any communication between Hannah and I, or Hannah and a commissioner, or 2 commissioners, or a topic, and we give them a time frame and we find the records. And so we just want you to be informed about this, because there is the potential that you might there could be a request for records pertaining to the commission or something the commission's working on. So I'm going to give you some kind of pointers. This is sort of a busy slide here, but I'm going to just talk through a couple things. So most of the materials you're getting are in your published agenda materials or are coming from staff by email. So those documents, we've got them. You don't need to worry about kind of keeping those organized. But we do want you to think about anything you have created as a commissioner outside of that. So that could be notes that you're taking. If you are a note taker, digitally or in paper, you can get rid of those notes. We don't have a requirement to keep them. And so what I'd say is keep your notes for however long you need them and then get rid of, toss them. If you really want to just keep them because you like referring back to them, just keep them in some place that's organized. So if we need to ask you, if you have any notes on a particular, like maybe it's a grant review process that we get, you would be able to find them for us. So keep them organized. With email, I encourage you to include Hannah or Monica on emails. So if you're emailing directly with a commissioner or member of the public, it then puts that email on our city server so we have it. If you're emailing related to commission business without having a city staff person copied, then you just need to make sure you keep those emails organized and locatable. We do have some commissioners who just are more comfortable they have like a separate email that they just like to keep for their commission work. That isn't necessary, but again, just make sure that you're organized so that if we reach out to you and say, do you have any communications regarding the commission, you can say yes or no. And if you say yes, you can locate those for us. So those are the main points there. And that is all I have, unless there's any questions. Thank you.
That was helpful. Thank you.
So all the email I get from Hannah that says that, are you gonna be the meeting on Wednesday? I can get rid of, right?
You can. We've got all of our, we're keeping, I don't actually know the current number. We have way too many emails in our archive. Many millions of emails. And so we've got it. You can delete it.
1 gig to.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service.
Any questions for Tricia before she leaves? And you can always reach out to her. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Would you want me to stay for the chair process at all? You good?
Yeah,
Okay.
so good.
All
Yeah,
right.
and that's not till the end, so.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for coming
Thank you,
out
Hannah.
tonight. We appreciate it.
And before we move on, I just wanted to acknowledge that we do have a guest online, Brian. So I just wanted to say welcome. And we just saw you pop in a little while ago. Okay. Are we moving on to the youth report?
Yes, I think we're good to move on.
Okay.
All right. So yesterday was our last official meeting of the Youth Advisory Board before we go into our annual summer break. So there will be no more youth reports from June, July. Well, there will be one for June since we have our Izzy Kids Triathlon, but none for July and August before we start again in September. So we're wrapping up the year. So we have 2 last events, and we also did leadership and new application elections and such. But June 4th is our biggest event of the year, which is the triathlon, where we invite all the all like elementary kids to go run like basically like a mini triathlon, just like a community building event. And our second event is a new event that is recently being discussed upon, is the proposed idea of a pet adoption event. And this event, we've gotten approval to have it in the field during salmon days if we choose to have it. So during salmon days, we might be holding a pet adoption event. So eyes out for that. But other than that, nothing much.
Thank you.
Preston, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So it sounds like is it a triathlon or a marathon?
Triathlon.
Triathlon, okay. Do you know, has it been well attended in the past? Do you know?
Oh yeah, we've had I can't remember the exact number, but like last year we had like 50 to 100 kids running this thing. So we have a lot of volunteers, like up to the number of 100 volunteers, including the us yabbers, working to this event to make sure everything runs smoothly on the day. Everyone signed in. We don't lose any kids. RIP Jimmy. But yeah, it's just, we've had it really well attended. I think we've had it going on for about 5 to 10 years. So, yeah, so it's just like a really well attended event. We always try to get a lot of advertising out to make sure we get a good number. So yeah.
Great, like, do you need any help with advertising and you have a flyer or something that can help put that out in the community? Okay, so you just email me. Great,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks, Dustin.
Great. Thank you, Preston. Okay, Monica and Hannah are gonna give us the staff report.
Commissioners, it's so hard to go after Preston.
I know, it's not fair.
Preston, you bring so much joy to this.
Well, we can reorder the agenda.
I do one last shebang, one meeting.
Yeah.
So commissioners, typically, in this section, we as staff bring, various, updates to you. Hannah and I have been, dividing it in, I bring, updates from the city council and mayor, and then, Hannah brings you any other, human services related, updates. So, kind of like that's how we've been doing it in the past. So I'm just gonna go over a couple of updates related to human services, from the city council. You may recall those of you who were here last month, so perhaps I should provide a brief background on the Motel 6 emergency housing program. We also heard the public comment on that. This is a project that we started working on more than a year, almost a couple of years ago now. And city council adopted in the budget in the fall for 2023 and 2024. They approved funds for an emergency housing program in collaboration with Motel 6 to fund unhoused community members. And so we've been working on that since the fall. The program essentially has two components, a lease component with Motel 6 and then an operations component to manage the program. Initially, that was intended to be done in partnership with a nonprofit service provider. We issued a couple of RFPs, requests for proposals, and we were not able to find a service provider to manage the program, mainly because of the agencies have been dealing with a lot of staff changes, leadership changes, just lack of capacity to provide the extra services. So we tried to pivot it because we know how important the need is and how important this program is. And so we went again to City Council just this Monday on May 15. We requested approval of shifting those funds that they initially allocated to allow us to hire limited term positions to fund the program to staff being hired by the city. So we are excited that that was approved by City Council with no issues whatsoever. And so we are now actually working really fast in hiring those positions. We are actually very, very close. So excited for the program. We will provide you updates as we launch the program. We hope to start a soft launch as early as July. And so we'll give you more updates on how that's going. And then in June, we are going again to City Council with two small requests. One, yes, as I mentioned, the emergency housing program. So there's a second component to that, as I mentioned, the lease with Motel 6. So we are working on finalizing those last details around that. So we are hoping to go to City Council for approval of the lease. And then we are also going to seek council approval on a new endeavor. And it's not necessarily new, it's just increased capacity. I'm gonna pause a little bit so we can give you the background, especially to the new commissioners. The existing commissioners is not new. But in 2021 and 2022, we created a behavioral health program at the city. Where we hired behavioral health coordinators to, actually we have one behavioral health coordinator to work in collaboration with the police department to respond to 911 calls that have behavioral health components that are more human services related and not criminal related. So that program has been, we combined that program with our homeless outreach program to increase efficiency since sometimes often folks who are unhoused, they also have a behavioral health component or the other way around. But there has been a really a huge need. We have a lot of community members who need support. So long story short, we are going to City Council to approve increase of adding 2 more staff for the program to meet the needs in the community. So those are some updates for you. I'm gonna pause for any questions that you might have. And if there are no questions, I'm gonna let Hannah continue.
Yeah, I do have 2 questions. Where is the Motel 6?
Motel 6 is
Like Sammamish Parkway, kind of, it's by, the I-90s exits.
exit 15.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know where
okay.
like IHOP is.
Yeah, yes, I just registered it. Okay. And then for the behavioral health program, you've requested 2 more FTEs?
We are requesting, we are
Yeah.
going in June to
Oh,
request, yes.
requesting.
Mhm.
And do those potentially 3 staff members serve anyone who happens to be within the Issaquah borders?
Yes, and
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Keena, you're on mute. Did you? No, you're fine. I just was wondering if you had something to say.
I do have a question. So for the housing program, is it more of a transitional program, or what would be the outcome of the program for participants?
Such a great question, Kina. Thank you so much. It is more like a transitional program. It does not fit the official requirements for the transitional program where people can stay for 2 years, but it is kind of like that bridge between shelter and permanent housing. And so the outcomes will be, in an ideal situation, moving into permanent housing from the program. Great question.
And that permanent housing, will it be subsidized, or?
It depends on the situation of each person, each person being enrolled in the program. So as you might have heard, the program, it already has multiple components, from employment and education to behavioral health, depending on what the person's need is. So it could be just independent housing, or it could be supportive housing. It really depends on the need.
Case by case basis. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. I have a hard time not looking at the
I
screen.
know. All right, so no other questions then? All right, so I'll transition us to human services related updates. So just a few pretty short ones. The first one is we're currently working with the Equity Board and the Issaquah School District on a Juneteenth event. Items have not been finalized yet, but we are hoping to have something on the 19th here at the community center. So once everything gets finalized, we'll be sending out some more details on that. So I hope you all can join us for a fun celebration. We're really looking forward to it, especially some student presentations. So that's what we're really hoping to, is really putting up those voices. So
Will it be on June 19th?
it will be on Monday, yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's correct. So, very excited for that, more to come. The next thing is I wanted to just put on the table, let you all know, I typically don't do this, but I thought it would be important, to kind of prepare us for next week. So our next week commission meeting, I'm really looking forward to it. Right now we are in a year where we are doing some just on-site visits. We made some really big, funding decisions last year, did a lot of heavy lifting, and now we get to kind of really just see the fruit of that work and get to meet some of these incredible providers. And so our commissioners have already went to some of these on-site visits, or some that are coming up soon. And so next month, I am looking forward to just having a presentation. And then just so you know, what I am going to do is kind of take a step back and just provide a little more outline of human services, the background of grant funding, kind of our approach in that, and then give a little more context as well to the site visits that we've been doing. So you will have also like a visual of the presentation. So I think it's going to be a very dynamic meeting. I'm like really looking forward to it. So looking forward to that next month. And then also, as we are coming to our, my last thing is, as we're coming to our summertime, it's pretty common that we kind of follow our city council's agenda. They take a recess in August. And so that's just something for us to consider. Commissioners who were here last year, we did not because we were in the thick of reviewing our applications for the grant. Funding cycle. So we wanted to just continue that. So this cycle, we do have that consideration. So no decisions need to be made. I just wanted to put that on the table for you to start thinking about your availability and if you'd like to have a meeting in August, which would be great, or if you'd like to take a recess, which would be great. Either way is good to go. So that's all I have on my staff report. Any questions?
The only question I had was, when doing the site visit, I think we asked to have a report out. Is there like a template? Is there something we're kind of highlighting? Just.
Great question. Yes. So we can talk more on that, but ultimately, like the report out will be like, what did you experience? What did you learn? What do you think commissioners will want to know?
Okay.
And again, I will have like a PowerPoint for us. So it'll be like a very clear, like, okay, now it's Jaime's turn to speak on a report out, answering 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll set up some guidelines, but please go, report out as you feel.
Okay.
Something like you need to do additional homework.
What's that?
Yes.
I was like, do I need to do a PowerPoint?
No,
I
I love my
just give my
PowerPoint.
experience. I had a good time.
We're
about that.
volunteers.
I know. Hey, easy.
That's all. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
definitely. Great.
Well, it looks like we're actually really on schedule. That's amazing. Okay, so this is just a very friendly little agenda item here. We're now, every year at this time, when the new members come on board, we elect a new chair and vice chair. We do that every year. And Hannah gave me this nice little script that I will use. Does anybody have any questions, first of all? Okay.
Can I be an intern?
Can you be an intern?
Yeah, like an apprenticeship to the chairs.
That's fun.
I love that idea.
Actually, I thought about.
Yes, you did. And I will tell you, I already looked into it. And so what I've learned is for somebody to be in a chair or a vice chair role, they have to be a regular member. And so we currently don't have the youth representative position as a regular position.
Yeah.
You are a youth representative. However, that's something that we could consider changing some of our bylaws and putting a youth representative as a regular position like some of our other boards and commissions have done. So something to consider that we can put on the table. And we would love for you to intern with Human Services and get you more involved. Maybe we can have you practice sit in as a proxy or something like that. Would you want something like that?
Sure, I'd be willing.
Great, yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, Preston. We love your enthusiasm.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna just get this over with, you guys. Okay, first, I'm going to call for nominations for the chair. And if only one nomination is made, then that person will automatically be the chair.
This is Manny. I nominate Trish.
This is a highly coveted position, you guys. Okay, do we have any more nominations for the chair?
Trish. I would nominate as well.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, all right. If we don't have any more nominations from the floor, I guess I'm it.
Did we officially get a second? No, I know I heard a second, but
Oh, do I have to do that?
I just want to make sure for the purpose of the minutes.
And does she have to accept?
Okay, I don't see that here.
I
Okay,
think so. So
Okay.
Jaime, do you?
I will second that.
okay. Okay, I'm not, that's not in my script.
That's fair.
We're going off script now, Trish. We're going off script now.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I will continue on in this capacity for the next year. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing for vice chair. Do we have any nominations from the floor? Yes. No, you go ahead.
I think Hein would do an excellent job as vice chair.
Oh, Jaime, yes, I second that. I second that.
Just not.
Okay.
See?
But does he accept? That's the real question.
I will accept. I think it's a little, yeah, absolutely. To work with you, Trish, and the whole group, it'd be an honor, and I will do my best. So,
Gets me out.
what was that, Manny?
We really appreciate it, Amy. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You bet.
Okay, so we have a second for the minutes, right?
Yes, we do. You-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been on the Arts Commission for 15 years before coming here, and I'm so glad we've never had a position, or a time where we've had to vote. That would be so weird, I think. I mean, it's just always been a consensus-driven thing, so that's, yeah. And for all you new members, as you can see, all that the chair does is I just help the staff member move the meeting along. That's all I do. Yeah. We're a very flat organization. Very flat.
Very precise. We have good help or leaders.
Yeah.
Yes, we're the help.
Yeah, also your helpers. If I may say something, commissioners, if you may recall, something that Mayor Polly said earlier that stuck with me, and now I've been here for a few years, that it reminds me. Mayor Polly said that before she became a mayor, she was working with city council, and she was actually serving on a board here at the city. And I remember that when I joined the city, one of the city council member who retired since then, but was a former human services commissioner. So I think it's exciting at times to see that community members, big-hearted volunteers, start on a commission, but then hopefully also they can move from a regular, or let's say an alternate member, to a regular member, to a vice chair, to a chair, and then maybe they go on to become an elected official at city council and become the mayor of the city. And so, and the Human Services Commission, I know, has a good track record for doing that. So just saying that it's an exciting opportunity and something.
I think there were 2 human services commissioners that moved on.
Yes.
Yeah, to city council. Yeah. Yeah.
And first stop human commissioner, next stop president, like.
There you
Small steps, baby
Yeah.
steps.
The stepping stone here.
Yeah.
I have a question about the date of the next meeting. So the next meeting is on June 21st, the solstice, which is also Make Music Day in downtown Issaquah. Is there like a noise consideration?
Oh, great point.
There might be music all on the small one.
Yeah, that's a great point. I did not look at the calendar. We could. I mean, what would you commissioners like? Would you like to have a special meeting on a different date, or would you like to try to meet during the June 21st scheduled time?
It may not even be an issue. I've never been here
So,
before, but I
yeah.
just know that there's music everywhere on that day. So.
Totally.
And we had sometimes when the garage had music and you can hear it, but you can also continue with the meeting. But it's also up to you for sure.
Would anyone want to take in the music thing instead of
Exactly. I will bring you back, man.
I don't know the music business with my husband, which is why it immediately comes to mind.
Yeah.
For me, that's gigging, but he can just do the gigging and I can be here. It's not an issue. But as far as noise, it gets loud in downtown Issaquah.
I thought concerts on the Green were on Tuesday nights.
This is a day, this is different than that. It's just a summer solstice in which all of Issaquah is invited to just come and bang spoons, drums, whatever they want, anywhere, anytime, basically, all day long. And then the music schools on Front Street set up stages all around and have their students playing. So sometimes it can get loud, but I don't know if it comes on the green here or not. I'm not sure about that. So I just wanted to mention it in case it's an issue with this location, not suggesting the date needs to be changed, but I don't know.
That's even by the library, right?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
We could go, we could go 100% virtual. You guys would have to sit here, right?
Yes.
Kept the windows
We'll enjoy
closed.
The windows closed, exactly.
Yeah,
So just something to consider. I didn't mean to throw a wrench into the meeting, but.
That's a good point. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's good to know about.
So are folks okay with the current meeting? We'll just kind of see how it
Yeah.
goes. and-
Play it by ear.
Yeah.
Reference.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, well, if there is nothing else, I'm going, other business and announcements. Anything for the good of the order?
Actually, I got something. Jokingly, Preston was sitting here last meeting and said, I wouldn't mind being president. I think, and he said, you could be good vice president. Well, thank you, Preston. And he brought it up earlier. I would like to propose that we do something like a pro-tem where trainee type of thing where they're eligible to learn what they will need to know so they can take over place, positions like vice president. And yeah, I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would take, if we gotta change the bylaws or what, but, Preston's an amazing person, and if his vote's gonna count, then let him count, so.
Yeah.
Agree with that.
Such a great suggestion. Maybe you have a few different options, I think. I think Preston can shadow and be part of any meetings that the chair, vice chair, and staff have, just kind of like a shadowing and doing that. You as chair, vice chair, as the commission, you can also offer Preston opportunities throughout the year to say, hey, Preston, today you can, take the lead in chairing the meeting and you can support him. So you can do all of those things without having to change any bylaws. However, if you would like to make it more formal, you can take some time in setting and adding it to one of your agenda or a couple of meetings you might need to look over the bylaws and propose changes to those. We can work with city clerk and making those amendments depending on what kind. I don't know exactly if it's just the rules and regulations, just like the ones, for example, for the virtual attendance, those you can just take action. If it's actually going and changing more like the core structure of the meeting, then those need to go through council approval, but there's still a process for that and you can certainly do them. And so in that case, if you choose that option, you can probably formally create a space where you have a youth member that's gonna be part of a regular member position. So then they can be eligible for vice chair and chair positions.
I think it would be great if it teetered down to other commissions and councils so that we get the youth involved and they know that there's a place for them.
Yes, the equity board has now in their bylaws, in their core structure that they have 2 youth members. The environmental board also has that. So there are a few boards and commissions who now have that. But since, the commission was created a long time ago.
And they're the 2 newest boards and commissions, so they're kind of leading the way, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's great. I just wanted to bring that up.
really good point. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, so just letting us know what you decide as a commission to do. Meanwhile, like you have some time, meanwhile, you can certainly have question with them.
Yeah, because I don't know if Tricia had to go through the training for the chair position. I'm sure you have to go sit through something that's, this is how things are done.
Did I have to go through training?
Yes.
I'm just winging it.
No.
I'm just winging it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll set Preston between you and
Preston, I look forward to getting you involved more. So you'll be hearing from me and we can schedule some time so we can prepare you maybe for some proxy chair opportunities.
Yeah, I love that.
Perfect, thank you. And then to Manny's point, are we gonna start putting, would you like me to put that on the agenda, whether it's next month or the following month for us to relook at our bylaws to add a youth regular position? Or would you like to have more discussion over that, maybe next meeting?
Now, right now, is the bylaws, is there an age
restriction?
No, there isn't a requirement. They're only mentioned that the youth advisory board can send a liaison. Basically, that's what Preston is.
And we
to
only
the-
have place for one position.
For one position, but then yes, it is from the youth advisory board, so it's not a formal position on the Human Services Commission.
So if it's formal, they would, the youth, whoever applies would have to go through the regular interview process.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I didn't have to sign an application, but I mean, I did have like sort of interview.
Yeah, got the hand, right?
I think I can make it through some interviews.
But, you know, that's all part of, you know, training and learning what happens, you know, when you get out in the real world, you have to interview,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you have some time to think if you would like to
Have more
guide,
discussion.
direct us tonight, or we can bring it up at another time to each other.
Well, we've got a pretty full agenda next month, right?
Yes, yeah, it should be.
So why don't we decide next month, make a decision next month about when to put it on the agenda?
Yeah, we'll have a more of a discussion then. Sounds good.
That's good.
Thank you, Tina.
Yeah. Okay, any parting words? Kina, before we turn you off?
So sad. I don't have anything else to say. I'm fine.
Okay,
I have a couple of things,
Yes, yes,
just
yeah.
like very short, hopefully brief, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, as you have known, I've been the staff liaison to the Human Services Commission ever since I started with the city. At that time, when I first started, the human services functions were filled by the royal me. It was me and myself and I. And so since then, we now have a human services division. We are now a team of 5. In the next month, we are growing with 3 more staff, and maybe in the next couple of months with additional 2 more staff. So we are growing as a division, very exciting opportunities, also very, very busy. Hannah is back from maternity leave in full force, and she's been doing an excellent job with being the proxy staff liaison for a while, but I think she's ready to become the formal and official staff liaison, which she became. We are certainly working together and tag teaming, but for efficiency and helping us be more efficient and work together, I'm not gonna be at every meeting moving forward. I do plan on being here probably about at least quarterly to provide you with more bigger picture updates on how are the other programs doing and how are we setting things up. But just wanted to kind of like provide that formal transition, as now Hannah's back from maternity leave for a couple of months and all of that. She's your point of contact. But of course, we work together and I'm here as well. Don't want you to feel like, oh, just don't contact me or you cannot, but.
Oh, so you're not gonna be at our meetings?
I'm not gonna be at the next meeting, so I'm gonna be probably in a couple of months, as we set up to come back and give you updates. Hopefully, we launch successfully the Motel 6 project. We'll see where we are with the behavioral health program. And so I'll be back in a couple of months, or, 2-3 months. But yes, probably not at the next meeting. Unless, Hannah's out, unexpectedly, or one of us will always be here, right?
Now, are you still on leading the equity?
Yes, I'm still.
That's gonna be your main focus?
Yes, so that's also a little bit like I've been doing between the equity board and the Human Services Commission and council meetings. Sometimes it feels so, just a little bit of trying to streamline things, yes, but I continue to be the staff liaison for the equity board.
Well, the responsibilities have certainly exploded.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Monica. I'm very excited to be your official staff liaison and happy to support the work that we're doing here. So please call, text, email if you have any questions or need anything else. But you'll be hearing from me and seeing my face. So.
Okay, well, this was great. It was so nice to meet all the new people. And I will officially adjourn the meeting. Okay. And report, everyone.
Hold on.
Nice to meet you.
Bye, Tina. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes, thank you there.
Bye.